Hillary Clinton says nobody likes me. Let me ask you this. Then how come I'm the most popular guy on 4chan?
Greetings, Corona Redditor babes. Hope you're enjoying our post-apocalyptic toilet paper-based society. Hope you've all been doing your Fortnite dances as the money number goes down, dooming all capitalism forever. Personally, I've been visiting China and having sex with as many animals as possible to create a new virus to collapse stock markets and accelerate America's descent into the Union of American Socialist Republics. So yeah, I've been a little busy for the last month. That's why I haven't uploaded anything, just doing that whole coronavirus thing. But it's not because I'm lazy or depressed or anything. That's just what the CIA wants you to believe. When I was being tortured by Mossad agents, the only thing I was doing was begging, please let me go back to make a funny YouTube video for you guys. I'm begging you. Today, Corona Bizia will be talking to you about a serious topic. Things I wish I knew about being trans. Don't worry, weird, far-right, rad, femme, trans films. I'm not detransitioning or anything like that. So, I mean, you can just click off the video now and give it a couple centuries. And then check back and maybe I might not be a weird Uncle Tom anti-trans channel like Blair White. But until then, you can just eat my ass and fuck off. I'm making this video, little baby trans or eggs out there, to give some advice for what I've personally been through. So, lots of you little other baby eggs can pray at the shrine of Karl Marx to get 5 boob like the rest of us. Number 1, don't overthink it. Then I'll do a little. At a baseline, to be trans, it is to want to be the opposite gender. If you want to be the opposite gender, you are trans. It's that simple. No, people don't want to be the opposite gender. Some might want to do it for curiosity's sake, like temporarily, but if you want to live the rest of your life as the opposite gender, then you're trans. Forget about feasibility, possibility, all this other bullshit and rationalizations your brain will try to make to get around it. There's no such thing of being a trans enough or, fitting it into enough stereotypes or boxes to be checked about what it means to be trans. I mean, you do it for yourself and nobody else. I remember wanting to be the opposite gender, but thinking, oh, I'm not trans enough because I wasn't depressed, and once you know it, I got depressed anyway, just to show you that your fucking expectations don't mean shit. It's a very personal thing, and you should be only doing this for you and yourself. You shouldn't give a fuck about whether someone says you're trans enough or if you think you're trans enough. If you're trans, you're trans. Don't overthink it. Don't get into this weird repression rabbit hole. Don't fucking spiral into, if you want to be the opposite gender, you're trans. Simple. It doesn't matter in terms of what application, how far you want to take it. Just don't always beat yourself up thinking you're always faking it, because at the end of the day, the only person who can say who's faking it is yourself. Here's a little secret, my little epic egg Redditor nerds. Everyone likes sex. Everyone likes big boob and big vaginas. That's normal. I mean, don't feel like some weird fetishist freak over being trans because you have a semblance of desire and being non-conforming, and all trans people should be one of the good trans people where there's no semblance of desire. Like, it's okay if you want to be trans and have sex. Like, that's normal. Everyone wants to have sex and shoot fucking thick strings of cum everywhere. When I was in the early stages, the only thing I would think about is how much of just this weird sexual cross-dressing freak I was over just wanting to be the other gender. Like, oh, I'm only doing this because I'm a pervert, X, Y, and Z. I can't be really trans. And let me just say, like, it's normal to, like, want to have a sexual desire, because literally everyone has sexual desire. Unless you're ace, in which that case, you're not real, so you don't really count. And if I see any ace trans person in the comments, I'm just gonna snap your neck. Because you don't exist. But don't fucking buy into the weird far-right repression of just, like, it's all this weird fetish thing. If you want to be the opposite gender, like, a inherent sexual desire out of, like, all the specific symptoms of dysphoria, it's, like, one category out of many. There's so many different layers to why you would want to be the other gender as opposed to just, I want to sex someone as a female. I mean, it's fine if that's just, like, you're just into it as a fetish, like you would like to cross-dress during sex or whatever, then that's fine. That's not what it means to be trans. Your day-to-day existence, the rest of your life, your self-image, your conception of self, it matters so much more than just, like, I want to fucking shoot thick viscous strings of cum as a girl instead. Like, no. But then on the opposite of that coin, don't feel bad because, you want to have sex and you're trans or whatever the hell. It's normal. It's okay to want to fuck and piss and shit everywhere, and that's valid, and I love you for it. There's nothing wrong with it. A big theme I see a lot with all the baby trans or eggs is the amount of just self-hate and fears of inadequacy. I'm not true trans, I'm not this or that, I'm a trender. When I was going through all this shit, I used to think that I was a trender because I went on 4chan because I got I had the realization at 16, despite the fact, like, you know, it happens at all stages of life. Whatever the realization, it doesn't really matter your age. And a big portion of that I have to love is thank you 4chan. 4chan, if you ever want to learn how to hate yourself, just go on 4chan for a certain amount of time and just embrace all the toxicness and bitterness 24/7 that goes on over there, where you have to justify your existence by raiders from Pole, haven't seen their penis in 6 years, who are always going to complain about black people and degeneracy or something, and will never ever change their stance no matter what, because to change your stance is to fail and be weak. And also at the same time, we're correct though, however. I mean, honestly, 4chan, try to be the fucking internet police or anything, but for me at least, or at any other sites like that, it was just a cesspool of self-hatred and creating false expectations for myself. Again, you do this just for yourself. It does help to get other people's opinions and things, but at the same time, don't define yourself based on others. Define yourself based on yourself and what you want. Don't worry about what other people are gonna say about you, because 4chan is fucking vicious and full of all these bitter fucking repressors who will just only give a shit about how you look instead of like who you are as a person and shit like that. You gotta learn how to love yourself first and above all. Not worry about other people and what other people are going to think about you if you're trans, if you're X, not even if you're trans, just in general. You got to learn how to be comfortable being yourself. Be proud of being yourself. Like, I mean, obviously there are things, even for myself, that I'm not proud of. I'm not saying you have to be proud of everything, but at the end of the day, you are you, and there's only one you in this entire world. Platitudes aside, honestly, just learn to love yourself and don't be stuck in a self-hating cycle like I was. This next one might be a little bit too personal, but I feel it's very important. I started going on hormone replacement therapy at 16, and being under 18 especially, they love to just jerk you around and essentially not give you any actual dosages. And just speaking personally, I was on initially 0.025 milligrams of estrogen a day, and now I'm currently on 4 milligrams a day with like an actual trans provider, not someone who's just jerking me around and giving me a fake sense of actual hormone replacement therapy. That's why my fucking numbers on like all my profiles have been off, because the time I've actually been on hormone replacement therapy is more closer to like 4 months as to like a year, because fucking half a year of that has just been like paying money for these expensive pills just for absolutely nothing. Make sure like the place you're going to is getting blood work done, because at least for me personally, just comparing dosages with others isn't enough, because for some people it could be enough, some people it can't. But if you're really thinking you're not getting dosed high enough, you need to be checking your dosages with other people. All that matters is just getting your E into specific ranges. So be sure to fucking check your dosages, sweaty. And the number one thing I would think it's like the most important thing about being trans is just the understanding that it gets better. Obviously, even now, I'm still kind of struggling personally in my life, but compared to how it was in like high school when I first had these trans realizations, I don't know how deep I should get in a fucking YouTube video, but I was suicidal, if not like borderline suicidal, like legitimately. Given the chance to not exist, I would instantly have taken it. The one thing that always kept me going on throughout the whole thing is just me constantly being optimistic, and the idea of, you know, knowing that it gets better. I mean, I'm pessimistic sometimes too. Everyone is pessimistic, but at the end of the day, like, the understanding that it gets better is the most important, because if you lose hope, then you lose everything, and then that's the thing. I mean, if you compared now to like 2 years ago, I'm definitely way much better than I would have been before. That's like the one thing that you never think it's gonna get any form of better. Like when you're in the actual end of it, then you're just like, wow, it did. But like at that moment, there's no way to rationalize or understand that like it gets better. The only thing you're seeing and understanding is just your current time. And that's not to say like, oh, you're shallow minded or anything. It's just a matter of you just don't have an experience of what it means down the line, and you can't imagine that because that's just it, right? I'm way like a million times better than I am back then to now, where it's just a lot of melancholy as opposed to like legitimate distress and depression. Number one thing, honestly, believe that it gets better and you're fucking invincible. If you believe it gets better, nothing can stop you. The moment you let other people fucking neg and fucking chip away at that is the moment you lose. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. Unless you're really fucking lucky, but it's certainly not the case most of the time. I hope some of this information will or could be helpful. Little liberals out there. I like to make serious videos because it's a good way for me to vent and that sort of stuff, but if this got too deep for the funny, wacky YouTubes, be sure to leave a comment and make fun of me. But love you lots, kisses, mwah mwah, bye. Be sure to clean your foreskin.
Would I ever sleep at night?